Should American citizens in places like New Orleans and Baltimore and St. Louis begin to seek asylum in countries like Honduras and Guatemala under your asylum principles?
Legitimate response.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. This is Legitimate Response, a channel focused on politics, politicians, the stuff they do, the stuff they say, the stuff they get themselves into, the trouble they can't get out of, and their screw-ups that the news media just doesn't cover, and I feel like we all should know about because we really need to know what's going on in the government because there's a whole lot of BS happening that I don't know why the news media doesn't cover some of this stuff because it affects me, it affects you, it affects everybody in the United States. And what we got coming up is a continuation of a video I posted the other day. The Senate was having a hearing with AG Garland. He's getting a full dressing down from all these senators, and they all go over different stuff, and I'm just covering a little bit more from that. So let's roll this clip and see what we got.
Mr. Attorney General, I want to explore the dangerous crisis at our southern border and your role in causing that crisis. Asylum traditionally is reserved for people who face things like religious persecution, persecution for their political beliefs, or violence because of their race or ethnicity. In June of 2021, you changed the department's asylum rules so that it could apply to individuals with significant gang violence in their home country. Is that 2021 interpretation still in place?
It is. It reinstates a previous interpretation the department had of the same asylum rules, yes.
Okay. Do you know the most recent murder rate in Honduras?
I'm sure it's enormously high.
It's 36 per 100,000 people. What about Colombia?
I don't know.
23 per 100,000. Guatemala?
Again, I don't know, but I believe it's quite high.
17 per 100,000. What about Mexico, right across our southern border?
I also think it's very high.
28 per 100,000.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. What the hell does any of this have to do with the United States? Well, it has a lot to do with the United States, and you'll see that coming up. That specific policy is talking about gangs in other countries that their government is unwilling to or cannot protect the citizens of that country from gang violence. Now, watch where this goes. It's quite interesting.
So I have to say, since you rewrote the rules of asylum based on the perceived degree of violence in these countries, I'm a little surprised you didn't know those, but let's look a little bit closer to home. Do you know the murder rate in New Orleans last year?
I don't, but I want to be clear, this wasn't based on violence. This is based on threats specifically to individuals, on gangs, where the country was unable to protect the person.
So he makes a policy that basically is an open door to anybody who wants to come to the United States based on threats. Really? Anybody can make up a threat. That's one of the reasons why we have so many illegal immigrants trying to come into this country. That's one of the policies that's causing the fentanyl crisis. You may not think it's connected, but it is. These cartels are just insane, completely insane. They are just simply taking advantage of all these people and using them with their drug trafficking, with their human trafficking, with any of their day-to-day operations. They're basically using our compassion against us. We have to figure out some kind of way to stop it because it is definitely causing a crisis down here. Now let's keep rolling.
That's what it was about. It wasn't about violence in general.
Okay. Well, you're partly responsible for protecting Americans. So let's see. Honduras' government can protect its own people except for 36 out of every 100,000 for murders. Guatemala, 17 out of every 100,000. The murder rate in New Orleans last year was 70 for every 100,000. What about St. Louis?
Again, it's very high.
68 per 100,000. What about Baltimore?
Also very high.
58 per 100,000. Should American citizens in places like New Orleans and Baltimore and St. Louis begin to seek asylum in countries like Honduras and Guatemala under your asylum principles?
Again, I'm saying that the principle here is protection of specific individuals who are being threatened by the gang and where the local country is unwilling or unable to protect them.
And there it is right there. Our system cannot handle this many people coming across the border, and I don't think they understand that. They don't understand the extent of the issues that we're dealing with down here. You can't just add a policy that basically gives a reason for millions of people to start pouring across our border. Our people can't handle that. Our system is way overloaded. There's just no way for us to get to all these people to make them citizens of the United States. That's where policy hurts the country. And it's kind of reckless if you think about it, because our government may be willing to protect our citizens, but what does that matter if they're unable to protect our citizens? You start putting all these people in cities without increasing the police force, we're gonna start having the same type of situations here. And then you have this campaign of these idiotic leftists going around talking about defund the police, wanting to abolish the police, some of them do, which is simply mental. We need more police. We have more people coming into the country. We have the cartels pretty much operating with impunity across the southern border, and we can't do nothing about it because we don't have enough enforcement agents to stop it. Something has to be done about it. They need to stop bitching at Merrick Garland and get these people off their ass to do something about it. Instead of hiring 87,000 new IRS agents, why don't you hire 87,000 new Border Patrol agents so we can get this thing taken care of? If I can come up with that idea, I'm sure those bureaucrats up in Washington can come up with a better idea. Now let's keep rolling.
So is the United States government and the city governments of St. Louis and Baltimore and New Orleans unwilling or unable to protect the citizen?
I don't believe they're unwilling. They're doing everything that they can. We're supporting them in every way they can. The examples you're talking about are ones where they are unwilling to protect from gangs.
So, Mr. Attorney General, one of the reasons we have a crisis at our border where we have illegal aliens running to our Border Patrol, not away from our Border Patrol, is this interpretation of asylum. That anyone, anywhere who lives in a dangerous or poor country can come here and seek asylum, as opposed to seeking it, as is traditionally the case, for things like persecution on religious belief or political practice.
And once again, that's his whole point right there. These people are just coming to our country and they're having to deal with the same thing. We have higher murder rates in our country than in third world countries. That's kind of ridiculous. We need to take care of ourselves first before we can take care of everybody else. I'm not trying to be discompassionate. I wish the entire world would get their shit straight and stop causing all this damn violence, having all these gangs and drugs and all this other crap, but that's not reality, and we need to live in reality. We need to clean up our own house before we can start talking about these other places. But he makes some very good points right there. If we can't take care of our stuff, why the hell are we trying to take care of other people's stuff too? But that's all I got for this one, y'all. Thank everybody for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Turn on your notifications so every time I pop out a video, it'll pop into your feed. Hit that like button if you want them to protect our southern border. And that's all I got, y'all. Thanks for watching, and be positive. Peace.